Okay, well, thank you for joining me for yoga today. Let's start in a seated position, something comfortable, either with your legs crossed or your legs out front, whatever works for you. Make sure you're nice and warm. It's pretty cold today. Let's place our hands on our knees, and I invite you to close your eyes, lifting up your spine so it's nice and tall, and taking some deep breaths. Just breathing in and out. Nice and slow, long, slow breath in. Pause and long, slow breath out and pause. And breathing in and out. Continue on for a few more cycles and notice the rise and fall in your belly and your chest as you breathe in and out. Let's take 3 more breaths. And last breath, nice long slow breath in. Pause and long slow breath out. Smooth our shoulders, rock. That's it. Nice big arms. And back the other way. And last one. And bringing your right hand down beside you and left hand over the top. And then across the other way. Stretching out the sides of our body. And coming back to center. If you're sitting up on a block, come down onto the floor. And let's inhale, lift up our arms nice and tall, nice tall spine. Exhale as you fold forward and bring your hands down to your toes or your ankles or your shins. And then inhale back up again. And exhale forward. Connecting with the stretch through the back of your legs and your lower back. Nice flexed feet. And let's go one more. And bending your knees and bringing the soles of your feet together, nice and close to the base. And bring your hands underneath your feet, nice tall chest. And let's take a few breaths here. I invite you to close your eyes and think about what you would like your purpose today as you go through your yoga. It might be joy, or it might be about slowing down or bringing more love into your life, or whatever it is. Just thinking about taking your mantra with you for your yoga practice today. Let's take a couple more breaths here. Notice the stretch through our groin area. And last breath. And then bring your feet out in front of you. Give your legs a little shake. And let's come to tabletop. Placing your hands underneath your shoulders. Fingertips nice and wide. Pressing the palms into the mat. Knees under your hips. And let's inhale, lift up through the chest. Nice curve in our back. And exhale, nod your chin into your chest and lift your spine up towards the ceiling. And notice the stretch through the wrist as well. Take a few breaths here. Just use your breath to initiate the movement. Inhale as you raise your chest, and exhale as you nod your chin in and lift your spine up towards the ceiling. Let's take one more of each. And take your knees out to the outside of the mat and bring your buttocks down to your heel. Just feel the stretch through the legs, through the thighs. And then lifting your chest up, walking your hands forward, coming into child's pose. As you exhale, allow your forehead to move down a little closer to the mat and notice the hip opening in the hip area and the lower back. Let's take a couple of deep breaths here. And then coming back up to tabletop. And we'll do some thread the needles, moving the right hand a little closer to the middle of the mat, and then inhale, lift up the left hand, looking up towards the left arm, opening through the chest, and exhale, bring the left hand underneath the right, and take the right hand forward, bringing the left ear and shoulder down towards the mat, and take a few breaths. Connecting with the stretch through the left scapula. And one more deep breath here. And coming back to tabletop. This time, bring the left hand towards the middle of the mat. Inhale, lift up the right hand, gazing up to the right thumb. Notice the stretch through the chest. And exhale, thread the right hand under the left. Take the left hand forward and bring the right ear and shoulder down towards the mat. And let's take 4 deep breaths here. Connecting with the stretch through the right scapula. And then inhale, come back up to tabletop. From here, we're going to take a couple of little flows. So let's exhale and come down into child's pose. And inhale, lifting up your chest, bring your hips forward, bring your hands slightly forward as well. Lifting up to upward dog. Notice the stretch through the chest, through the hips. Exhale back to child's pose. Let's continue on with a few more rounds. We'll do one more round. And coming back to tabletop. If you've got socks on here, you might need to take them off now because you might slip. So let's come to tabletop, tuck your toes under. Exhale, lift up your hips, come into downward dog, pressing the hips back up towards the ceiling and pressing your heels towards the mat. Connecting with the stretch down the back of your leg. And come back to the purpose of your yoga practice today that you've set for yourself. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And then let's inhale, bring our knees towards the mat. Take our hands forward and lift into upward dog. And then exhale, tucking your toes under, coming back to downward dog. And let's go for a couple more rounds. nice and slow with your breath. And then coming back to tabletop, and we'll do a lizard pose. So we're going to take our right foot and land it next to our right hand. Slide the left knee back a little bit so you feel a nice stretch through the left hip. And you can stay here with your palms on the mat, or you can lift up the right palm and look up towards the right thumb. And let's take a couple of breaths. And then exhale, bring the right hand down. Bring the right knee back next to the left. And then take the left foot next to the left hand. Slide the right knee back a little bit and connect with the stretch through the right hip. And lifting up the right hand, left hand, looking up towards the left thumb into twisted lizard. And then exhale, bring that hand back down, come back to tabletop, and let's tuck our toes under, lift our hips up and come into downward dog, pressing our heels down towards the mat, feeling that nice stretch down the back of the legs, the calves, ankles, and stretching all the little muscles under your feet. And then walking your feet as wide as you can and walk your hands up underneath you into wide-legged forward bend. You can heel toe your feet a little wider. Have the weight on the outside edge of the feet. From here, you can fold your arms and let your body hang upside down so the crown of your head is pointing towards the earth. And let's take a few breaths here and just relax into this lovely inversion pose. Notice the stretch through your legs and through the lower back. Let's take one more breath. And then allow your hands to come to the mat and walk them forward. Lift your chest a little bit, stretching your back. And then heel toe your feet a little closer together and slowly come up to standing. Stepping your bones. Your body a little shake. From here, we're going to go into goddess pose. So goddess is it's a deep squat. So you can bring your hands to heart center, chest up nice and tall. Heels just under the hips, toes slightly pointed out, and we're going to come into a deep squat. So you can come to this area here, or if you want, you can go a little lower. If you can go a little lower, use your elbows to press your knees out a little bit, lifting your chest up nice and tall. Allow your heels to come down towards the floor. Let's take a couple of breaths and just notice the opening through the hip area. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then release your hands to the mat and straightening out your legs, slowly come up to standing. Give the shoulders a little roll through. And then let's come to the back of the mat for some warrior sequences. We're going to turn our left toes out slightly, step forward with the right foot. Inhale, lift up our chest, lift up our arms, and bend the right knee. Imagine you're holding a beach ball up towards the ceiling. Just feeling that stretch through the left hip. Let's take one more deep breath here. And as you exhale, folding your chest forward and bring your arms behind you, clasping them, lengthening out the right leg. Lift your hands up off your lower back and raise your chest a little bit into humble warrior. Let's take a couple of breaths here and notice the stretch through the shoulders and through the right hamstring. And then release your hands down to the mat. If you have a block, you can place the block next to your right foot. Place your right hand on it. And then inhale, lift up the left hand into triangle pose. Looking up towards the left thumb. Feel the stretch through the chest and through the right hamstring. Just take one more breath here. And then exhale, release the left hand. Inhale, come back up to standing and step back to the back of the mat. Give your legs a little shake and then step forward with the left foot. Inhale, lift up through the chest, raise your arms, raise your gaze and bend the left knee. Lifting that beach ball up towards the sky and getting in touch with that nice stretch through the right hip. Let's take one more breath. And then exhale, folding forward. Bring your hands behind you and clasp them behind your back. Lengthen out the left leg, lifting the hands up off your lower back and squeezing the shoulder blades, lifting the chest into humble warrior. Let's take one more breath here. And then release your hands down to the mat. Place the block next to your left foot, left hand on the block. Inhale, lift up the right hand into triangle pose. Looking up towards the right thumb, opening through the chest. Bring the hand behind your back a little more. And feel the stretch through the left hamstring, the chest. One more breath. And then release the right hand back down to the mat. Inhale, slowly come up to standing. Nice, let's give that a little shake. From here, let's do a couple of balance poses. So let's open up the right toes and move your hips in a little circle. So you're connecting with the anchor points underneath the right foot. And let's bring the left toes next to the right ankle. And we're going to lift the left foot up either below the knee or above the knee, whichever works for you. Find yourself a drishti point. And then bring your hands to heart center. Knee going out slightly to the side. Let's take a couple of breaths here. That's it. 2 more breaths. And then release the left foot down to the mat. Give your legs a little shake. Then opening up the left toes and move your hips in a little circle, connecting with your ankle points at your heel, behind your big toe and behind your little toe. And then bring the right toe next to the left ankle, lifting up either below the knee or above the knee. Knee out to the side. Find your drishti point and bring your hands to heart center. And let's take a few breaths here. Stilling down the breath and the body. One more breath. And then let's release. Give your legs a little shake. Welcome, Elsa. And we'll go from here into a little bit more balancing. I'm going to go side on. We're going to do dancer pose. So if you have something beside you can hang on to, that'd be good. Bending the left knee and bring the left foot into your left hand. And just notice the stretch through the left thigh as you bring the heel towards your buttock. So you can stay in this position, find your drishti point, or you can bring your chest forward, kick your leg back, and bring the right hand forward into dancer. So feeling that nice stretch through the left thigh. Let's take one more breath. And then come back to center and release. And then let's go to the other side. So we're going to bend our right knee this time. And bring the right foot into the right hand. Bring the knees together. So you can stay here if you wish. Or you can kick the right foot back and bring the left arm forward. Find your drishti point. Let's take a couple of breaths here. And notice the stretch through the right thigh. and then release. Give it a little shake. Good. Since it's so cold today, let's do a couple of rounds of sun salute. So we'll come to the top of the mat and bring our feet next to each other. And let's do 2 rounds. So we're going to start with our hands at our heart center. Inhale, raise our gaze, raise our arms. And exhale, fold forward. Step back into plank. Slowly lower your body down to the mat. Inhale, lift up through the chest, have the top of your feet on the mat. And then exhale, roll your toes under and come into downward dog. As you inhale, lift up through the chest and step forward. Draw your chest into your legs. Inhale, come back up to standing, into mountain pose. And exhale back to heart center. Let's take a couple of breaths here. It's a little bit more energetic. Just steadying down your breath. Let's do one more round. So inhale, lift up our arms, raise our gaze. Exhale, fold forward. Step back into plank. And then slowly lower your body down to the mat. Tops of your feet on the mat. Inhale, lift up through the chest into upward dog. Roll over your toes into downward dog, lifting your hips, pointing the crown of your head down to the mat. Inhale as you step forward into forward bend, hugging your knees into your chest. Inhale, come back up to mountain pose. And exhale, hands back down to heart center. Nice work. Okay, from here, let's take our feet wide as you can. Heel toe them out a little more. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. And then exhale, sliding your hands down your legs. And then bring your hands down to the mat. Heel toe your feet a little wider. Have the crown of your head pointing down to the mat. And let's take a few breaths here in this inversion. So it's a wide-legged forward bend. Notice where you're feeling this stretch, connecting with the hamstrings, opening up through the lower back. And just releasing the breath, nice and slow through the breath. Coming back to the theme of your practice. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And then lifting your chest, walking your hands forward, stretching through the back. And then heel toe your feet a little close together and come down to the mat. And let's come down to a seated position with our feet and legs in front of us. Feet are flexed. Just lifting up the buttocks so that you know you're on your sit bones. Let's inhale, lift our arms up, and exhale, fold forward. Bring your hands down to your toes or your ankles or your shins. And let's take a couple of breaths here and notice a stretch through the hamstrings, the lower back and the shoulders. Let's take a couple of breaths. One more. And then release your hands. Let's bend the left knee and bring the left sole of your foot to the inside of the right thigh. Again, come back up onto your sit bones. Flexing the right foot. Inhale, lift your arms, and exhale, fold forward. And bring your fingertips down to the foot or the ankle or the shin, gazing towards the right toe. Let's take a couple of breaths and notice where you're feeling this one. So this one's a little bit more in the glute and the ITB, the muscle that runs between your hip and your knee on the left side. One more breath. And then release. And swap our legs over. So bring the right foot into the top of the left thigh. Lift up onto your sit bones. Nice tall spine. Inhale, lift your arms up, and exhale, fold forward. And notice how this side feels compared to the other one. Gazing towards the left toe. The left leg nice and flat on the ground. If the knee's bent, just lift your body up a little more. Right? Place the leg on the ground. Let's take a couple of breaths. And then release. Bring the right foot out in front. Give your legs a little shake. And then inhale, lift up nice and tall. Exhale, fold forward with your feet flexed. Bring your hands down to the toes or ankles or shins. Gazing towards your big toes. And let's take 4 long, slow breaths here. And release. Give your legs a little shake. From here, we're going to lay on our back and hug our knees up to our chest. So rolling your lower back in a circle, releasing any tension you might have in your lower back. And then place the right foot on the ground and bend the left knee in front of the right thigh. And then hug your knees up to your chest into reverse pigeon, threading your hands through the gap in the legs towards the right shin or the right thigh, or bring the left shin towards you, depending on how flexible you are on this side. Relax your shoulders and your head down to the mat. And let's take a few deep breaths here. And again, coming back to the theme of your practice, and just check in with how you're feeling through the body and through the mind. Notice where you're feeling this one, through the left glute mainly. One more breath. And then keep the leg bent, but release the hands. Allow the right foot to come down to the mat. Place your right hand on the left knee. Bring the knees towards the right as you gaze towards the left. With your left hand straight out from your shoulders, getting a nice twist through the lower spine. Each time you exhale, allow your body to twist a little more. Take 2 more breaths here. And then inhale, bring your knees back to center. Hug both knees to your chest, uncross your legs, and rinse your back out. Let's roll it in one direction and then in the other. This time, place the left foot on the ground, bending the right knee. Bring the right leg in front of the left thigh, and then hug your knees up towards your chest. Notice how this side feels compared to the other one. You might be a little bit more tight on this side or a bit more flexible. Bring your upper back and your head down to the mat. And let's take a few deep breaths. Notice the stretch through the right glute. One more breath here. And then release your hands. Bring the left foot to the mat. Keep the right leg bent. Place your left hand on your right knee and draw the knees to the left side as you turn your head and gaze towards the right side. So coming into a nice twist. And each time you exhale, just allow your body to twist a little more. Just surrender into the pose. Taking some nice deep breaths here. One more breath. And then bring both knees back to center. Uncross them and hug them into your chest. Give that a nice either rock and roll from side to side or circle. And then bring your feet down to the mat, heels close to the buttocks. And we're going to lift up through the hips as we inhale, coming into a bridge pose. Squeezing our buttocks, lifting our hips as high as we can, pushing through the heels. You can bring your hands underneath you and clasp them together. Walk your shoulder blades a little closer and lift up a little higher. Nod your chin into your chest. And let's take 3 long deep breaths here. One more breath. And then release your hands, slowly lowering your spine down to the mat. Hug your knees to your chest into Apanasana. Rinse back out. And then from here, reach through the inside of your knees, reaching up to the outside edge of your feet and lift the soles of your feet up so they point up towards the ceiling into happy baby. Flattening out your back. Use your elbows to slightly press against your knees. And let's take 4 deep breaths here. And then release your hands from your feet. Bring your feet down to the mat. And then roll yourself up to seated position. And come into tabletop. And let's inhale, lift up the left knee and lengthen out through the right hand. And exhale, bring the hand and the knee back to the mat. Inhale, lift up the other side, pointing the toe towards the mat and lengthening out through the heel and the fingers. Exhale, bring the hand and knee back down. And then to the other side. And then to the other side again. Just move with your breath. Inhale, lift up the knee and the hand. Lengthen out. Exhale, bring the knee and the hand back to the mat. Take it to the other side. From here, we're going to lift up our right knee, bending our right foot towards the left side of the mat. Just change around so you can see. And then bring the left hand around and see if you can grab hold of the right foot. And then inhale, lift up. So you're getting a nice stretch through the right quads. And then release it. And this time take it to the other side. So we're going to inhale, lift up the left knee. Bring the left foot towards the right side of the body. Take the right hand and bring it round, grabbing hold of the left foot. And then lifting up through the chest, kicking the left foot back and release. Taking our knees wide and coming into child's pose. Sliding your hands forward and bring your forehead down to the mat. And let's rest into child's pose for a few breaths. And notice the stretch through the lower back and through the shoulders. And then inhale, come back up. And let's take it to our backs. And let's lay back with our soles of our feet together and our knees out to the side in a butterfly position, placing your hands on your inner thighs. So you just apply a little bit of pressure to the groin area. Now let's take a few deep breaths here. One more breath. And then bring your knees together, feet flat on the ground. Hug your knees up to your chest into Apanasana, rinsing out your back. And then from here, we'll go to our legs up position. So you can have your legs up against the wall or a piece of, whichever is feeling right for you today. So as you inhale, lifting up the feet. If you're in shoulder stand, holding your hips up with your hands and bring your elbows a little bit closer together. Let's move our ankles in a circle in one direction and then the other. Taking our feet out wide. Coming back to our breathing. And then bring your soles of your feet together, knees out wide. And then lift your feet up in the air again. If you're in shoulder stand, you can bring your feet over your head into plow pose, releasing your palms down to the mat. Take a couple more breaths here. And then inhale, slowly bring your spine down to the mat and come into a comfortable position for Savasana. If you need support for your lower back, keep your knees bent or place something underneath your knees. If you have a blanket or an eye pillow, you can use that, keeping yourself nice and warm. If you've got some socks, you can place your socks on. And then lay back into a really nice, comfortable position for Savasana. Taking 3 long, deep, relaxing breaths. Allowing your body to sink into the floor, being supported by the earth. Just noticing your breath without controlling it in any way. And scanning your body, noticing how it feels now. And scanning your thoughts. To relax here for a few minutes, just enjoying all the beautiful energy that you've cultivated in your yoga practice today. begin to notice your body lying in Savasana, being supported by the earth. Noticing your breath and the rise and fall of your chest and your belly without opening your eyes, knowing where the walls and the windows are in your room and the ceiling. When you're ready, taking a couple more breaths and rolling to one side. And when you feel awake, opening your eyes and come into a comfortable seated position. There's no rush. It's lifting up our spine so it's nice and tall and bringing our hands to heart center. Thank you all for your beautiful yoga practice today. You're raising your energy and the energy of everyone in the group and everyone around you. Let's bring our hands to our forehead for kind thoughts, to our lips for kind words, and to our heart for a kind heart. Namaste. Well done, everyone.
Thank you. That was lovely.
Thank you, Jenny. That was wonderful. I'm sorry.
You're welcome.
I forgot to put